Hey, and welcome to a Studio Calico video with me, Lisa Spangler. Today I'm going to be sharing an art journaling spread in my new Field Notes Texas notebook, which I thought went perfectly with this I Love Texas stamp set from Hello Forever for Studio Calico. And I wanted to show you a little bit about this notebook. So it has graph paper in it. This is just kind of thin graph paper. And they have all 50 states. But of course, this is the Texas one. They come in a pack of 3, and I've already used the yellow one, and I just love it. So now I'm starting on the blue. And I think that's about it. I love how it has all the information about Texas, like the state bird and the state flag and all of that. And just so you know, my nickname Side Oats is because Side Oats is the state grass of Texas. So anyhow, to get started, I'm going to take some gesso. This is an old bottle I've had forever, and I've almost used it all. And I'm just going to take a little bit, like maybe that much, and then I'm going to spread it on my page, and this will make the paper thicker so I can do more mixed media techniques on it without the paper warping too much. So here I am putting some on my page, and now I'm going to take this old hotel key card. I love saving hotel key cards from different places I get to travel. And then I'm just going to scrape it on there. And I found that this is a great way to add just a thin layer. If you get too much, of course, then it'll get all wavy, which you don't want. So here I am just like scraping it on there. And then this dries really super fast, especially in our 100-degree Texas heat. But if you're impatient, you can always zap it with a heat gun. So here you can see it added a little bit of texture to it already. But to add even more texture, I'm going to take that Texas stamp and my Versamark ink. The Versamark ink makes it where it's a lot easier to clean up and get that gesso off of there. So I'm just inking this up with the Versamark ink, and then I'm going to stamp it right in my gesso. This is before it's dried. It's like just a little bit tacky right now. So here I am positioning this on there, and then I'm going to give it a really good press so it really gets that Texas in there. And then I'm going to clean this right away, because even though I put the Versamark ink on there to try to help with that, it'll still like mess up your stamp if you leave it dry on there. But there you have it. So now my page is dried. I want to show you that there's not really much warping going on. But just if you wanted to, you could glue 2 pages together. That's another good trick for when your paper in your notebook is thin, such as this. So I'm just putting the glue stick on one side, and then I'm going to press the page on top. And there you have it. It's all ready for the next step. So the next step is going to be adding color with Neocolor crayons and gelatos. I love how these both look over gesso, and you can really blend them well when you have gesso down. So I've really been into this peach color and blue and like kind of a coral pinky color lately. So I'm just going with those, and I'm going to scribble just kind of randomly, just scribbling some color on there, just like that. I had to add some bronze too, just for a little bit of metallic sparkle and a little bit of contrast, since all of these colors are kind of light. So here's the bronze, and just like scribbling it here and there. And then both the Neocolors and the gelatos are activated with water. So I'm going to grab a paintbrush here, and this is just a jar of water. Just getting my paintbrush wet, And then I'm going to go over the crayon with the paintbrush. So this is a wet paintbrush going over top of the crayon, and you can see how it really spreads that color around. It almost looks like watercolor, which you can also use watercolor on gesso. I just wanted to use the crayons today. And I'm rinsing off my brush so that I don't get the colors like too blended together. You know, like kind of keep them a little bit separate there. So just like that. And then this is already dry, and I decided it needed a little more pop. So to get more saturated color, I'm using a wet brush to pick up the color directly from the crayon. So here I am adding some of that coral color, and then I rinsed my brush, and then I'm going to add some blue. And I really like the blue because I think it kind of goes well with the cover of the notebook. Then I decided it needed an even darker pop of blue, so I grabbed a darker blue, and then I applied some of that with a wet brush as well. So here I am with a wet brush and just picking up some of the darker blue directly from the gelato crayon, just like that. And you can keep going back and forth, adding more colors, just until you get it how you want it. I also added some of that darker coral pink color too. And this is like so fun and relaxing to me because it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, there's nothing special about it. You're just like scribbling the color on there. And then I decided to make the gesso background really pop. I'd take that bronze crayon and just scribble it here and there. And this bronze will also tie in with the Texas too. And then I dipped my finger in the water, and I'm just going to spread the color around with my finger. And this just highlights all that texture that's there in the dried gesso. And I kind of think it makes it look like an old map, like some old map that you'd see in an old Texas land management book or something like that, like a registry. And then the pop of color makes it kind of more modern. But there you have that. Maybe a little bit more right here. There's no rhyme or reason to how I did this really. But, and then I wanted you to see, oops, it did bleed through a little bit where I didn't have the gesso, but it's not too bad, and I kind of actually like it. So now I let all of that dry, and then I added some journaling. This says 20 and 20, 20 things I've learned from 20 years living in the Lone Star State, because it'll be 20 years that we've lived here in November. So I'm going to be adding more pages and just adding fun things I've learned about living in Texas. So thanks so much for joining me, and so long from the Lone Star State.